Good day everyone, my name is Franco Miguel F. Olarte and I am a BSED2A student and I'll be tackling the approaches in teaching listening which are the bottom-up, top-down, and interactive listening strategies. Listening is the most important skill in communication that involves processing sound waves, interpreting meaning, and storing of thoughts. Moreover, it requires the listeners to understand, interpret, and evaluate what they hear, and also paves the way for other skills to tower over the others because of its significance in terms of speech, discussion, and freedom of expression. Also, it is closely related to speaking, for it enables the person to soak in any information that is given to them, which can then be passed on to another party later on after the conversation. On the other hand, learners will develop prediction and anticipation skills in listening. Without listening, communication will be crippled. It is vital and should be a main part in communication. Second language listening comprehension is a complex process, crucial in the development of second language competence. Listeners use both bottom-up processes, which are the linguistic knowledge, and top-down processes, which are the prior knowledge, to comprehend. Knowing the context of a listening text and the purpose for listening greatly reduces the burden of comprehension. This will help students learn how to listen and develop the metacognitive knowledge and strategies crucial to success in listening comprehension. Listening strategies are techniques or activities that can contribute directly to the comprehension and recall of listening input. Listening strategies can be classified by how the listener processes the input. In this demo session, I'll be tackling the bottom-up, top-down, and interactive listening strategies. First, let's tackle bottom-up listening strategies. The bottom-up strategies involves listening exercises which develop bottom-up processing, helping learners to recognize individual words, sentences, and clause divisions, recognize key linguistic features of the words and sentences. Such approach is effective when the second language perception skills are not developed enough. Bottom-up strategies are text-based. The listener relies on the language in the message. That is the combination of sounds, words, and grammar that create meaning. The bottom-up listening strategy are suited for beginners, and it is text-based. But it doesn't mean that the learners will be reading a text. The learners will engage to listen exercises. It means to say that the learners will be listening to a text and will focus on the language in the message of the text. Did you understand, class? Very good. Just like what is shown in the model, the learner will first observe the grammar, the sounds, phrases, and even body language from the text that the learners have heard and then come up with meaningful information. Did you understand, class? That's good to know. Now, let's continue. Bottom-up strategies include listening for specific details, recognizing cognates, recognizing word order patterns. So bottom-up are for beginner listeners, just like what I said earlier. And bottom-up has great amount of conscious attention. The learners need to have conscious attention in grammar, sounds, words, phrases, as well as body language because those are crucial aspects or details from the given text that they are listening in order to come up with meaningful information. Next, limited to comprehending small chunks of information. Since it is detailed, just like grammar, you need to understand its pieces little by little, from words, pronunciation, phonemes, etc., to easily comprehend the said grammar. Has the class understood the bottom-up strategies? Okay, that's good. Now, let's proceed to the next listening strategy, which is the top-down listening strategy. It means making as much use as you can of your knowledge and the situation. From your knowledge of situations, context, text, conversations, phrases, and sentences, you can understand what you hear. Top-down strategies are listener-based. The listener taps into the background knowledge of the topic, the situation or context, the type of text, and the language. This background knowledge activates a set of expectations that help the listener to interpret what is heard and anticipate what will come next. Unlike bottom-up, top-down are for proficient learners and it is listener-based. It is for proficient learners since the learners must have the background knowledge of the topic, the situation or context, the type of text, and the language in order to interpret what the learners have heard and anticipate what will come next. Does the class understand the difference between bottom-up and top-down? All student A is raising her hand. What do you think is its difference? Yes, that's right, student A. Bottom-up is for beginner listeners and top-down are for proficient learners. Thank you, student A. As you can see in the model, the arrows are pointing down, and there are the prediction, prior knowledge, context, and experience that can be seen in the model. It means to say that the learners must have these elements first in making meaningful information down to understanding the grammar, sounds, words, phrases, and body language from the text that it is heard. Is the model understand, class? Very good. Now let's continue. Top-down strategies include listening for the main idea, predicting, drawing inferences, and summarizing. So, top-down are for proficient learners. As what I have said earlier, top-down are for proficient learners and it is listener-based. It is for proficient learners since the learners must have the background knowledge of the topic, the situation or context, the type of text, and the language in order to interpret what the learners have heard and anticipate what will come next. Next, large capacity for higher level of operation. It is for higher level of operation since it's for proficient learners and there is prior knowledge involved. Next, ability to comprehend bigger chunks of information. Those prior knowledge are those bigger chunks of information, thus, you must have the ability to comprehend bigger or larger information. And last one, ability to sort important information. Since there are tons of important information in a listening text, that's why, as a learner or a listener, you need to sort out information in order to organize ideas. Did the class already understand what is top-down listening strategies? Okay, that's good to know. Now, let's proceed to the last listening strategy, which would be the interactive listening strategies. So, it is a combination of bottom-up and top-down listening strategies. It involves interaction, and it may start from the bottom to the top, or top to the bottom, or vice versa. It's understandable from its definition that interactive listening strategies are a combination of bottom-up and top-down listening strategies. As what we have observed in the model, the arrows are pointing upwards and downwards. Since it's interactive, it means to say that there are feedback, response, prediction, prior knowledge, context, and experience. The model is quite similar with the model of top-down processing, but its difference are its arrows. Interactive strategies include distinguishing the main idea from the supporting detail and extracting salient points to summarize and taking notes. The interactive listening strategies is the same with the top-down listening strategies. It is for proficient learners. It has little conscious attention to words, sounds, phonemes, etc. Large capacity for higher level of preparation and the ability to comprehend bigger chunks of information. Do you have any questions, class? I guess there are no questions anymore. Class, you should give a big round of applause to yourselves for finishing this session. That would be all for the approaches in teaching listening. I hope you have learned a lot from me. Thank you, class. You may now leave the platform.